because this reason is because workers should not be made to bear the full burden. If, of course, there is a predicament, the predicament should be shared, the effect should be shared. Let our honorable commissioner tell us whether politicians are not getting their dues, whether the convoy of Mr. Governor is not being maintained, what are the austere effects of this problem on the political class. We don't have any information in that regard. So why must workers be the ones to bear the full burden of the predicament?
Let's bring in Mr. Bashir. Mr. Bashir?
Yes,
now you've heard what Mr. Lano said here.
Yes,
the revenue from the for the state is not coming as it used to be. But at least, are you confirming to us that you still have some things coming into the state? Why is it that it has to be almost 7 months that the workers have not been paid anything at all?
Let me give you the scenario based on facts. I had expected that a union leader representing his people should be abreast of the financial development of the state. But I will not join so much issues with him. The state of Osun does not print currency, does not produce money. It is within the microcosm of the Nigerian general economic development. If 26 states is under the same challenges, it shows that is the general Nigerian problem. But I will go to statistics. In 2010, the 2 months, November and December, that Mr. Aregbesola was in government, the allocation to the state, which is verifiable from even newspapers, was 4.2 billion. Our emolument then was 3.6 billion. We were able to make a saving of 573 million. In 2011, for the 12 months, the net allocation was 29.9 billion. The emolument was 25.8 billion. We made a saving of 4 billion. In 2012, the allocation was 28.4 billion. The emolument alone is 31.6 billion, making a deficit of minus 3.2 billion. In 2013, when our governor raised the danger, the allocation to the state was 26.4 billion. 26.4 billion. Our emolument salary 36.9 billion, making a deficit of 10.4 billion in 2013 alone. In 2014, when we started disbursing towards the end of the year, our allocation was 19.3 billion. The emolument was 22.4 billion. That's a net deficit of 3 billion. So when you add minus 3.2 billion, minus 3 in 2012, minus 3 billion in 2014, and minus 8.4 billion in 2013, that is a 16 billion deficit in terms of allocation, this our emolument. So when people talk, I think we should be patriotic to identify the challenges that we are really facing.
But the question,
all of us,
Mr. Basir,
Mr.
Basir, what he is asking is, how is it that it's the workers that seem to be bearing the brunt of it? Are the political employees not being paid?
As I am now, I have also not collected my November salary, even though I've been disengaged officially as a government. Their political functionaries are not even in operation now because of the funding challenges.
Okay.
In November, the council was dissolved. We have not reconstituted because of financial challenges. We have only 5 officials running the government now in terms of political functionaries: the governor, the deputy governor, the chief of staff, and the deputy chief of staff, and of course the head of staff, even the public servant. So we are sensitive to this, and that's why we have not appointed anybody to political offices.
Okay, Mr. Bashir.
If you go to the street of Osogbo, street of Ilesha, the people identify with the challenges, and they appreciate the fact that yes, civil service are significant few in the population, but we have to take care of a population of 3.2 million people. So when we are concerned about the payment of salary, we also have to address the challenges of social welfare development, infrastructural development of our people. So we are sad that we are unable to meet the issue of emolument, But the government is not the one producing money. In terms of struggle to improve the IGR, we made 280 billion
Mr.
IGR.
Bashir, I was coming to the issue of the IGR.
So it is painful when people are coming without data, without appreciation of challenges, and try to malign the government. Nobody has accused us of financial impropriety, of recklessness in terms of our finances, or corruption.
Mr. Bashir, yes, you have mentioned the issue of the IGR, because from all that you have said, it would seem like the only way the Osun State government gets its revenue is from the federal government. What is the IGR? You've mentioned, I think, about 2 billion something. How is this helping out in any way?
I will also give you data on that regard. When we came in as a government in November 2010, November 2010, we inherited an IGR regime of between 280 and 320 million. As at now, we have been able to push it to between 1 billion and 1.2 billion. But what effect would that also be? Is it what I mentioned before was just the emolument? But to run a government, you need the current expenditure, that is one overhead, plus emolument. Within the year under reference, that's from November 2010 to December 2014, and also to date, what we have spent on the current expenditure is 206 billion. And the total accrual, both IGR and the revenue from federal government and some other money from federal government, amount to 204 billion, still leaving a deficit of 2 billion as I'm speaking. And that is without taking into cognizance our intervention in the agriculture sector, in the development of roads, and also in development of other infrastructures in the state. So capital expenditure, when it is taken from what we have spent, we have 6 billion as against 204 billion, which is the total accrual to the state, both from IGR, from allocation, and other sources of funds. So these are things that are in the public domain. The governor spoke with it and on it during the inauguration of the assembly. We are not hiding anything from the people.
Okay, Mr. Bashir, just hold your thoughts. Let's have Mr. Lam on all of the issues.
In actual fact, we are not here to malign government. We are not here to undermine the activities of government in any way. We are addressing issues here, and they are issues of concern, and I think we should not be thrown overboard by criticism, especially when it is constructive. The fundamental problem is that government seems not to be taking responsibility. For example, there is a dimension to the issue of salary which seems to be neglected. I'm happy that the Honorable Commissioner talked about the deadline of dwindling revenue. Now, we cannot isolate the issue of eventual benefit, that is benefit at retirement, from salary, because that is a kind of long-term compensation for workers. Before the deadline our Honorable Commissioner has given, the state government has been making deductions of pension contributions from our salaries without remitting the same as prescribed by law. What do we attribute this to? Because when we are talking about unpaid salaries, that is a present predicament. But if you have a double jeopardy, a jeopardy which is, again, waiting for you at the time when a solution will not even be applicable, if any at all. Pension contributions by law should be remitted within 7 days. These are money deducted from our salaries. Government is not remitting. The scheme, the pension scheme, has become a technical fraud because law says you remit within 7 days of paying salaries. For about 62 months now, we have been on this pension scheme, and out of this, only less than half of the months have been remitted. And those that were remitted were even remitted belatedly, contrary to the prescription of the Pension Reform Act, which stipulates that remittances must be within 7 days of payment of salary. Now, even when the acclaimed dwindling revenue had not set in, government had not demonstrated sufficiently that she's worker-friendly. For example, apart from issue of unpaid salaries, mismanaged contributory pension scheme, and several other issues. We have written several letters to government. We've been on warning strike for